Go.
Good evening. It is Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. Welcome to the Town of Carmel Town Board. This is a special meeting. Tonight we are starting with a public hearing on fire protection and ambulance district 2022 contracts, calling the special meeting to order and asking our deputy clerk, Alice Daly, to call a roll call vote. Oh, pledge first, sorry. No. I haven't been doing the pledge first. Nope. Roll call vote.
Councilman Baranowski?
Here.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Councilwoman McDonough? Yes. Councilman Shano?
Here.
Supervisor Kazari?
Here. Now, if everyone would stand, turn to the flag for Councilwoman McDonough's going to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to remember all of the men and women who are fighting for our freedom. Thank you.
So our public hearing is open. If any members of the public would like to come forward. What?
She has to read the notice.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel will conduct a public hearing on the fire protection contracts and the ambulance district contracts for the year 2022 to be held on the 9th day of February 2022 at Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mayapack, New York, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter that evening as possible. Said contracts to be advertised and posted as follows. Contract, Mayapack Falls Volunteer Fire Department, Services, Fire Protection District Number 1, not to exceed $846,500. Contractor, Mayapack Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. Services, Fire Protection District Number 2, not to exceed $1,500,000. Contractor, Carmel Fire District and Carmel Fire Department, Inc. Services, Fire Protection District Number 3, not to exceed $888,375. Contractor, Carmel Volunteer Ambulance Corp. Services, Ambulance Service, Carmel Ambulance District Number 1, not to exceed $220,000. Contractor, North Salem Volunteer Ambulance Corp. Ambulance Services, Carmel Ambulance District Number 1, not to exceed $13,000. At said public hearing, all interested persons shall be heard on the subject thereof. Town Board will make every effort to assure that the public hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone requiring special assistance and/or reasonable accommodations should contact the Town Clerk. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Ann Spofford, Town Clerk.
Thank you, Alice Daly.
Motion to open the public hearing.
One second.
Motion by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by McDonough and Shano. So, all those in favor of opening the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye. So the public hearing is now opened. If anyone here from the public that would like to come up and speak on this matter?
There being no speakers, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Lombardi and McDonough. So now moving to our work session.
Make a motion
We
to open the meeting.
closed the public hearing.
We close
We
it?
did, yeah.
Oh, we have to, Ann wants us to close the special hearing. Yes, Ann wants us to close that. So,
So moved.
I'll make a motion to close the special meeting.
Channel, seconded by,
So moved.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. So now, opening our work session. If there's any members of the public who would like to come up and comment on any items on the agenda. All right, I see that no one wants to speak at this time. So everyone, has the minutes from the January 19th and February 2nd. Please review those. The first item on the agenda, Ann Pasquarello, Chief of Staff, consider request to amend and adopt Town of Carmel organizational chart.
Good evening, Board. As you know, that by law, we are to hold and adopt an organizational chart for the Town of Carmel. And this year being, we have a new supervisor, and we had some different staff change their titles and were appointed to different titles in the various departments, and you could see those in red. So I'm asking you to amend the chart as what's in front of you and have a resolution on for next week.
Thank you, Ann. Discussion?
I've reviewed it and it
Thank
looks
you.
fine.
Okay. All right, the second item is Michael Simone, Highway Superintendent, consider request to advertise for bids for 2022 spring materials and supplies. Superintendent?
Good evening, Board.
You know, when you sit over here, you can
I know today is February 9th, but in anticipation of a spring, which hopefully will be here soon, we come here every year and are requesting to go out to bid for our spring items. So it gives us an idea. When I do come back in another couple weeks to come forth with capital projects, capital equipment, and all the other stuff, but at least it gives us an idea of cost of materials and what it's going to look like this year and what we have to spend for improvements we're going to be making this summer. So this is an annual thing, so hopefully the town attorney will provide the resolution and we'll go forward.
Discussion?
Mike, do we have any of these materials left over from last year that we, you know, and I'm not talking about the rock, I'm talking about like the drainage pipes and...
We do have extra pipe because at the end of the year I kind of loaded up because of the situation that we
Right.
had. I think I have close to probably 1,200 feet of 12-inch pipe right now and maybe 400 to 500 feet of 18-inch pipe. So I can start. Talking with vendors, though, it looks like supplies will be back in line, where there might only be a 2 to 3 week delay rather than months at a time. And that's only with the plastic, but we really mostly deal with plastic. The steel might be a problem, from what I'm hearing. Steel is a problem on anything you touch now. Local materials such as, gravels, item 4, stuff like that, that we don't have a problem with. That's all local and can be trucked into us. My biggest concern in this is going to be the bituminous concrete, which is our blacktop, and what kind of number we're going to look at, because we know that things are moving up rapidly at this point.
Because of the cost of petroleum.
And so, yeah, and it's tied with that, so
Right.
it's going to be a much different number than the last 2 years. We were fortunate to do almost 9 miles last year, and I think the year before 8.5 to 9 miles, because of the cost being down. Might curtail us doing that kind of mileage. So, but again, till we get the bids back, we don't know. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, item number 3, again, Superintendent Simone, request emergency design services, Birch Lane. Superintendent?
yeah, again, I don't say emergency. I mean, it is. I'm made aware of this in the late summer. We went out there, looked at it. I brought first Rich Franzetti, our in-house engineer, but it was of a scope that I needed the consultant that we had, and as it's been in the past, my belief is that the consultant we have does come and does highway consultant work, and I can bring him out there to guide me on this stuff. We have a failure of quite a large pipe through quite extensive amounts between roads and on properties that abut homes that are could be in some jeopardy. I knew this was a project that was well beyond the scope of my highway department, And that's really why I brought John in. And really, my question here is, I mean, we need to move on this. I'd like to get it sometime this summer done, but we need to figure out if we're going to bid out the design in it, or if we need to both bid out design and the construction. Looking for your guidance. As you see in front of you, a lot of the stuff has been talked about and discussed. I mean, this was all stuff we discussed on site and was looked at by the town consultant, and we can just we got to figure out where we're going to go from there. And as I said, I think we need to do this before any of the major storms come through, because the pipe was put in the 70s and is failing in quite a few spots. So.
Yeah, so design and construction would be a much quicker turnaround.
That's what we're hoping. That's
Yeah.
what I'm hoping. I'm hoping to get it turned around quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
And that we can bid and get a contractor in here, be able to do this. It looks to me, the outline that was presented by the consultant looks pretty straightforward, and kind of looks like there's really only way, and looking at the site and looking at the, I'm going to say the structures that have been built along the way this pipe is going, and a lot of the work that's between properties, lining would be probably the best. It will be expensive, but it will probably be the best way, because to excavate and undermine and do some of the work in it, I don't know how you do it, and it would really
And
be-
easements, too.
Huh?
And you're going to have to go get easements for all of that.
Right.
Which is,
right. So,
that's going to take you even longer.
yeah, so, but,
Yeah, so I would say, and it's for discussion, but I think to do the whole thing as one package. Right, Greg?
So, a couple things. I just wanted to go back to the easements part. If the pipe is out there, my understanding is there's no recorded easements at this point. You can solicit the easements in advance of that, and if you don't acquire them voluntarily, there's a way for the town to acquire them. If you're going to do a project of this scope, I would recommend that you get them, okay?
Oh, even with the lining, you would say you should get the easements?
Yes, because you're going to go out there, and one way or another, there's going to be a major capital project for I guess it's really a relining.
yeah,
that they're
exactly.
considering.
It's right.
So,
It's your,
but let's just say you're going to go with what Superintendent Simone's saying, okay? If you have the design, while the design work is being done, you can acquire the easements in that period before you bid it. And you should bid it with the permission, because what's going to happen is you're going to get a contractor out there who's not going to enter the properties without the authority, and then you have a possibility of a delay claim if we give them a notice to proceed and they can't proceed, which is a bad situation in town. With respect to the design, it's not required to be bid under New York State law. Your procurement policy does require RFPs. If you want to waive that, you can do that. It's entirely up to you. Okay? The procurement provision, it's no violation of any provision of state law if you don't seek competitive bidding for professional
For the
services.
design.
Right. The construction has to be unless it's declared an emergency.
Mike, are we replacing the pipe that's already existing there in the same area?
from what we have and what the consultant has stated, we're going to line, similar to the sewer project downtown.
Right.
We're going to line this, except it's a it's a huge pipe. It's 5 foot by 38 inches, so it's a big pipe.
So where the pipe lays now, there's no town easements on those properties?
From what we understand, that none of them were required when the work was done. So,
And there's sheds and pools and on top of it.
yep. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. Again, as we know, the Secor area has small lots, and to go through those small lots.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. If we go through the project and we go on people's properties, we encroach onto their properties with the easement, and we take down buildings that they have there, whether they're sheds or if they're pools, are we responsible for putting those back after we're done? That would be a part of the project?
If the town has an easement, there should never be a permission where there's permanent structures that are allowed to be
Anywhere on there, but there's no
erected in the
easement.
easement, because that circumstance that you're describing is going to raise its head over the course of time for maintenance and repair. So I'm not certain that there's anything permanent that's there.
over the easement area. I have to see a survey of it. But that typically is one of the provisions of a drainage or a sewer or water easement, that the owner maintains all use of the property with the exception of erecting permanent structures there, okay, for obvious reasons.
So, Mike or Greg, whoever can, so John was saying that there was 3 alternatives to doing it, the slip lining, is that correct, these 3? And then he's suggesting going with the slip lining?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would, I guess, avoid disrupting the surface of the ground if you line the pipe, correct?
Right, and,
most part-
well, you wouldn't be excavating anything
Right.
around there. I'm sure there's going to be similar to the sewer project. There are luckily a couple manholes in the street that we could probably access to make it, less. I mean, this is, I don't know how many, I think it's 1,200 feet or better of large pipe. It's not going to be easy to.
Right,
It would
Do-
be the least intrusive.
right,
You
right. That'd be the best way.
location where it is.
And leaving it alone is causing problems, possibly problems also, I guess, to the sewer?
Leaving alone, it's going to fail. I mean, the pipe is failing now. It's a metal pipe, and there is no bottom on probably at least 3/4 of it. And with that, every time we have a heavy rain, it's taking out everything around the sides of it and washing it down, which is now undermining not only the pipe, but the area adjacent to the pipe.
Right,
So it's creating like a vacuum where it's sucking everything in. So we've had to repair a few holes that were road edge, but there are property ones that I have sheets of plywood over right now.
okay. Definitely a hazard.
I can't get a steel plate or anything in there because of the locations, but I could get sheets of plywood at least to span it for now.
Right, okay.
Mike, question for me. So if there are collapsed sections, does the slip lining still work in those
Yes,
sections?
that's what I was told, yes.
Okay.
There is a method that they can use that
Got it.
that they can literally push the pipe back into a form and do it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
It's one of the second two. It's not the slip.
Oh, it's not the slip line?
Slip line, put a pipe inside and they grout the opening. I think it's recommended one of the two.
Oh,
That you're replacing is just a cast.
so not the slip lining,
Yeah.
all right,
Either way, just,
okay,
it looks like it's a second.
so not that one. Mhm.
That you missed a bit. Would be recommended if you're going to do it.
Okay, and then if this moves ahead, I'm assuming John will, similar to what we did up in Carmel, or he did up in Carmel, he'll notify the homeowners, communicate with them as to what's going on, and maybe we put like one of those signage things,
Absolutely.
that there's work going on,
Yep.
solicit, okay, perfect.
And then when the construction starts, that's another notification process when the crews are going to be out there. But
Yep,
they're going
okay.
to get the heads up
Got it.
if we're soliciting easements on the project.
Yeah, all right, yeah, I just didn't want to, all of a sudden, work to be like a huge project. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be thrilled, not with the cost, but thrilled that it's going to be done. But,
Agreed. I mean, I think
yeah,
if we haven't knocked on, both Rich and I, trying to figure this out, knocked on doors, they've called me already,
Okay.
aware of some of the problems. But
Okay.
I think I've probably met the 10 or 11 homeowners that it affects, so.
yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
This isn't as many as
As up
the
front,
water
yeah.
district.
10 or 11, you said?
Yeah,
Something
yep,
like that. Okay,
yep.
thank you, Mike.
So if there's no further,
Nope,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So, item 4 is Pat Jenna, Town Court Clerk, request to consider a resolution acknowledging examination of Justice Court Audit Report fiscal year ending 12/31/2021. Town Council, would you?
It's just the Justice Court's required to open up their books to the town board once a year, and this is the notice that you've been provided that opportunity to review the Justice Court's books, and we acknowledge that by resolution as a board.
Okay.
Item number 5, James Gilchrist, Director of Recreation and Parks, consider request to award bid for grass cutting, lawn maintenance for the various town-owned parks.
Yeah, the town clerk's office sent out 35 bid specifications to different contractors that perform this work. They also advertised just in the local papers as a legal notice. We received 6 bids that were returned last Thursday, and out of the 6 bids that were returned, 3 of them were incomplete, and 3 were complete. So the lowest bid that we received did not have a bid bond, so that should be disqualified for not having the bid bond. So the second lowest was our current landscaping contractor, Greenway Property Services, that we have now. They had a bid bond, and also the performance bond was attached. So that's who I would recommend, continuing service with.
Very good.
Greg, why wouldn't somebody put in a bid bond or a check?
It depends. The bid bond is something you're subject to losing if you, in fact, you don't actually accept the bid if you're the low bidder. There's circumstances where it's put at risk. Most times, it's forgotten, okay, because oftentimes, it's cash. Or a certified check, I shouldn't say cash. It's not always a surety bond, like a performance bond or a payment bond. But it does happen that bids are defective, and if we have a bid bond requirement and there's no bid bond, the bid's defective. So, your options are obviously to take Jimmy's recommendations. Okay, you can also reject and rebid.
You have 3.
I don't know that the numbers are going to change, but you won't know that until you do it. And you're on a clock. I mean, they usually start around the 1st of April.
In April, yes.
In terms of work, in terms of landscape work, so you'd have to turn it around very quickly if you were inclined to do that. And you can decide that when you're ready, or you can award it as recommended.
All right, so Jimmy, with Greenway Property Services, did their prices go up tremendously from
Yes.
from the past years?
Yeah, so what I did is I went through each area that we cut, just to figure out where the differences are, just to give you guys a comparison from the last contract. So, like, for instance, the airport property, they increased their per cut by $65 from the last contract that we had to this contract.
Per cut, right?
Per cut. Camarda Park's cut went down $15 per cut. Jim and McDonough Memorial Park went down $72 per cut. The Chamber Park, that went up $93.33 per cut. And the reason for that is we added some additional grass area with Swan Cove and along the channel areas. That was added to the Chamber Park site. So that's probably the reason that went up. Town Hall went up $233.33 per cut. And the
Did you
ration,
say 200?
For
I'm
here?
sorry, $123.33 per cut. It was $76.67 per cut from the previous contract.
But you're talking about for Town Hall
For
here,
Town Hall, yes.
It went up $133
It went up $123.33
per cut.
per cut.
So what was added here that they,
All of the garden areas, you know how it's been all overgrown over the years, that was added to this, to have that as part of this contract also. That'll all
what
be
are they
weeded.
going to do to the garden areas?
It'll all be, the weeds will be removed, at each cut. So they're not going to be
So
overgrown.
they're going to weed everything?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Red Mills Park, that park went up $93.83 per cut. The grass area over at the Highway Department went up $51.33 per cut. The historical building went up $10.50 per cut. And the vacant lot, that's where the old e-waste site was, we cut that also.
Grange Hall.
Yeah, that went up $20.33. The old per cut was $9.67 for that. Now, the rationale, the other is, I recommended, if you remember back last year, was to do a one-year extension, knowing, I kind of was guessing that we're going to be going into an inflation, with gasoline prices going up, labor costs going up. This is probably a reflection of where we're headed. So as a contractor, they have to think going forward, you know, the prevailing wage rate for this kind of work, and I think it went up maybe $3 an hour for this kind of work. So there is a lot that they have to figure in. Some of the rationale, I'm assuming, for the costs that went down, they base it on their work records from the previous cuts. So they're able to go through that and figure that out. But it's hard to figure what a contractor's thinking. I've seen crazy things in the past. So.
And they're weed whacking, blowing, cutting,
Yes, yep.
and then in town hall, they're gonna weed all of the,
All of the areas that have been overgrown, yes, around the whole town hall, yep.
And what's the length of this contract?
So it's up to 5 years. So,
So I see a big jump
yeah, from
with bidder
20
number 3 from
3 to
2025 to 26.
yeah,
and also
those are optional years, if I remember correctly. You have,
I think only the fifth one, only the last one's optional, too. I think it's,
is it the last one's
yeah, I
optional?
think it's 4 and 1 in our favor, right? That's what I recommend, that's what I recollect.
And then 23 to 2024 goes up $3,000, that year jump.
20%.
Right here, bidder 3, 64 to 67.
That's 6 bidders.
okay.
Jim, just from my curiosity, out of 35 bids, you only got 6 responses. Is that typical? I mean, it seems pretty low to me.
Believe it or not, this kind of work is hard for a lot of different companies. When you get into certified payroll and a prevailing wage,
Yeah.
you're dealing with a different kind of contractor,
Yeah.
opposed to people that might pay some of their employees off the books or juggling staff. And this is a very defined, you have to be here every week, certain times, and you're dealing with, it's a different setup than your typical, lawn cutting at
Yeah.
at a residence.
Yeah.
And recreational continue to do Sycamore,
Yeah, we have a
Lorraine.
variety of other sites that we do, yes.
and that you
Yep,
guys.
and Baldwin Meadows. And we have the sign areas, we do it up in the Hamlet, also up in Carmel.
Okay. All right. Got it. Thank you, Jimmy.
You got it, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, number 6 is Richard Franzetti, P.E., Town Engineer. Consider request to accept proposal for the purchase and installation of automatic samplers, Carmel Sewer District Number 2.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Give it to Rich.
So in from Mark, the operators of Sewer 2, alerted the engineering department the need for 2 automatic samplers at Carmel Sewer District 2. They requested 3 quotes, $14,352.30, which was by Hack or American Sigma, ranging, and then the highest one was USA Blue Book at $16,232.20. This is a compliance issue. If we don't do this sampling, we're not able to collect samples and therefore figure out if we're meeting Speedy's permit. So there are sufficient funds. This expenditure was part of the 2022 budget, and we recommend the purchase of these units at the cost of $14,352.30.
Any discussion?
Hey, Jimmy, no, I'm sorry, I'm still on Jimmy.
Oh.
Rich, sorry. He left, Rich. What was the estimated to be replaced, is it 8 years? And then the equipment's supposedly gonna last between 8 and 10?
8 to 10 years. So
Again?
these units, they look like little garbage pails. They look like R2D2 units, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
And they stay outdoors all the time, so they're not an indoor, or if they are indoors, they're in pretty much rough climates, very moist, rough, acidic or sulfuric, where they're in the front end of a plant. So they just sit there and they just collect samples, 24/7, 365, and they just operate on battery. They do some maintenance on them. They wear out over time.
Okay.
So.
Got it, thank you.
Any type of warranties with these?
I'm sorry?
Any type of warranties? If they break down between, if they're good for 8 years, if you have it for a year and a half and it breaks down, do we have to, pay the cost to fix it, or is there a warranty on these?
If they break down, yeah, I work with these when I worked in the private sector. I mean, you can repair them, you can, save a couple, you take pieces and you just scavenge from the old ones that don't work anymore. But after a while, they just fail completely. You have plastic that goes, you have tubing that goes, you have pumps that go, and by the time you start buying those pieces new individually, you're better off getting a whole new unit. So,
Okay, and it takes about 8 years, six,
yeah,
8
give it
years?
8 to 10 years. Yeah, everyone's different, so.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, moving on to number 7, Richard Franzetti, PE Town Engineer. Consider acknowledgement of emergency purchases repairs for Carmel Water District Number 3 well generator.
So this one, the board's been somewhat appraised of it via email. In the grand scheme of things, we had a generator failure over in well 5, Carmel Water 3. That was our lead well over there, so that's the main supplier, producer there. So we had the bow door that we have in the back over there set up there ever since November. We put this in for an insurance claim. We received the money, and in that interim, since that's an important unit to have, we had ordered that generator, moved it forward. It ended up only costing us $5,000 versus the $32,000 because we had the insurance money. But just so you know, it's more or less just to keep the board appraised of that, something that happened, a major piece of equipment over in Water District 3 at the well, failed. The action was taken. We had insurance money for it, and we have a new one there now that's functioning, and the bow door was back. Well, it's not in the backyard now because it was up on Senior Avenue, but it'll be back in our lot in the next couple of days. So.
Perfect,
Discussion?
thank you.
Nope.
Okay, so 8, Richard Franzetti, again, PE Town Engineer. Consider request to authorize amendment to contract for design services, Carmel Sewer District Number 5, I don't know what WWTP is, upgraded facility report violations.
So the board may recognize that this is for Carmel Sewer District 5. On November 6, 2015, the state issued a notice of violation to the town. It cited failure to meet both concentration load and based ammonia limits at the wastewater treatment plant. As a matter of background, in 2009, the DEC issued an unsolicited modification to the speedies permit. The original plant had not been designed to treat for ammonia, and the failure to meet the permit limitations has constituted a violation in our speedies permit. In 2016, we met with the DEC and determined a compliance schedule for a report. At that time, the town had retained JRFA to develop a facility plan. While the facility plan was being developed, New York State DEC issued an order on consent in 2019. The town signed it on July 3rd of this year. The order of consent contains requirements that were not originally defined in the January 16th meeting and were not part of the original scope of JRFA. Subsequent to the signing of that OOC and 2020 submittal of facility plan, the DEC issued another round of permit modifications. In essence, they moved the goalpost on us twice during this process, and they have now, I actually received it today, a copy of the permit was received today, the modified permit, which identifies the schedule of compliance. We have until, let me just double check, until 2025, October of 2025, to have a new plant installed there. The first thing that needs to be done by July of this year is to have an updated facility plan. This particular proposal is brought to us by JRFA. It includes $13,500 to update the facility plan to meet the new criteria that the New York State DEC imposed upon us at this facility. So there are repair reserve funds and balances are adequate to cover the expense of this facility plan, and we recommend the approval of this proposal. So,
Quick question. There was an original plan made before they changed their requirements, correct?
yep, we have a plan upstairs.
And how much did that cost the town?
I don't remember that off the top of my head. I have to double check what the original proposal was for.
And in addition to what we originally paid, we're going to pay an additional $13,500 to come into compliance with what they want us to do.
That's what it's going to cost now, yeah. Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I can get you that original proposal that was voted on and by the prior administrator. You might have been part of that, maybe not, though, I'm not sure, but yeah, I'll get you those numbers.
Thank you.
And what they're asking us to do is not been asked before, I think is an important thing to mention. The new requirements is not something that they've asked for plants like this before.
Well, no, not for this facility, no. Yes, they asked for these type of plans, and these facility plans need to be developed all the time. But for this facility, they had asked for it originally after 2015. We developed one. They changed, like I said, they moved the parameters on us, and now we are, we have a more stringent permit limits. It includes a dissolved oxygen. It includes some different ammonia levels, and it includes some dechlorination. There's a whole bunch of different things on this particular one that weren't even in the original order or consent. So that's why they've just changed it as we went along.
Yeah.
So there were no major construction charges in the first one because we didn't have to do much work.
No,
The
we
second-
never built it. No, no,
The
absolutely
second
not.
will be, there'll be, I don't know, substantial, but there'll be I guess, do you have any idea how much money it will cost to build a new plant?
The original plant was probably at about 600,000 to 800,000. Was that original design? We're probably a little higher than that, considering where we are time-wise and the way things are with the prices in the grand scheme of things. Plus, it's a different. It might very well be a completely different configured type of system. It's going to be a package system. It probably will still be a package system, but it'll be a different package system.
What do you mean by package? Everything comes together?
So if you go over to Sewer District 2, you're building a tank. You're building 5 different sewer tanks. You're building aeration tanks. With this, it comes in on multiple trailers. You put it on, basically it's like a modular home.
Right.
That's what that is.
Okay.
You're basically having a modular home of a wastewater treatment facility. So,
Okay.
versus building each piece individually.
And they're good for how many years, once they're in place?
Life cycles of those are probably 30 to 50, all depends. They get maintained. You got to always, as we know, as you see me come here all the time, or unfortunately too much, things break, right? Pump goes, pipe breaks, something happens, so they have to be maintained. But on the grand scheme of things, the structures and whatnot will last, 30, 50 years. So,
Okay, thank you.
if not more.
Thank you. So, number 9, Richard Franzetti, PE Town Engineer, consider request to accept proposal for the purchase and installation of CMF feed pump sewer district number 4.
So this is for the microfiltration area at Sewer District 4. The New York City DEP does fund partially on this at 50% to the town. So Sewer District 4, the microfiltration system does not have redundancy of feed pumps at the facility. There are only 2 of the 4 pumps at the microfiltration plant are operational. The system intermittently operates on 2 pumps. A redundant free pump is needed so as to maintain speediest compliance. These projects were part of the regulatory upgrade. There is only one manufacturer of this pump. It's the sole source at that point in time, which is a quote from Emmons Metro LLC in the amount of $13,446 for a new redundant pump at the site. It's about 10 to 12 years old, and the expectancy of the new equipment is about 10 years. So there are sufficient funds in the budget, and we ask that we move forward with it.
Discussion?
No. It's going to cost us roughly less than $7,000.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I should probably put that number in there. I didn't, but, so, it is half.
Thank you.
The water line is repaired right now, so all the water is back in service in Water District 1. It was earlier for 1, 10, and 13, so I know the board's been made aware of that, but now the public does too. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you very
keeping
much.
us
Thank you.
notified.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
So item number 10 is Police Chief Anthony Hoffman, consider acknowledgement of emergency purchase of police vehicle. The chief is not here. I told him that I would do these for him. As he discussed with the board, I don't know, was that 2 meetings ago? The supply chain, and they can't get uniforms and all of that. So the Jeep Cherokee that they had ordered isn't coming. It's been delayed, it's been delayed. So they are in dire need of a vehicle for one of the detectives. They found a F-150 pickup truck that suit the bill, and they made an emergency purchase of it.
And the order was canceled.
Oh, yes, and the order was canceled, and they used the Jeep money in this purchase. Correct. On that?
Yeah, I just have a question. I guess it's between, are these both the same? Between 10 and 11. So are we getting two F-150 Ford
Yes.
trucks?
Well, one is, so then the next item, right, is consider request to authorize purchase of a 2021 Ford F-150 police responder truck. And that was part of the grant. They had gotten a SAM grant on that. So the same problems they're having with the cars, they're having with the trucks. So they could not find the truck to fit the grant. Now, the truck that they bought for detectives is not a police-rated vehicle. It is just a regular standard commercial pickup truck or a light-duty F-150. So they found a truck to fit their specs that they were looking for a police vehicle. They found one in the city of Rye. City of Rye had a change in what vehicles they wanted. They had just bought this truck, haven't used it yet. So the chief was able to purchase it from them for the amount that they paid for it. And according to General Municipal Law, which one was it, Greg? 103. We can purchase from another municipality, surplus or secondhand.
It says funding for this purchase of the second vehicle will come from the Carmel PD's 2022 vehicle budget with anticipation of receiving $50,000 in reimbursement.
Right, they already
Vehicle
got that
cost
grant
plus
from
equipment.
from
the SAM grant.
Assemblyman Byrne.
Yeah, no, I understand, but I guess what I'm questioning is, so instead of a Jeep Cherokee, you're getting an F-150 pickup.
Right,
Right, the Jeep Cherokee we already approved the Jeep Cherokee,
they
Right,
quit on
right,
it.
but-
and they
No.
can't get that.
Yeah,
so-
no, I understand that, but you were getting two F-150 Ford trucks.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but the need was for a Jeep Cherokee, so.
Well, it was need for a detective car. It was need for a,
So a detective is gonna ride around in an F-150 truck?
yes, I think it's extended cab, right? It's got the back seat and all. Yes. Yes, detective took a pickup truck.
All right.
But they've been driving Tahoes. It's pretty much the same thing, except doesn't have the
Well,
bed, right?
it's just that they're all enclosed. You know, I'm just saying, go from a Jeep Cherokee to an to a Ford F-150, and then getting another F-150, you know, we only need one truck to tow our Marines unit, but in both things, it's saying, oh, we can use them, you know,
Well, they do have multiple things that they tow. They have
I
the
know,
trailers
but-
for firearms
what
and
it-
and whatnot.
all right, all right. That's, okay.
Well, it looks like the second one's gonna be a special operations truck.
Yeah,
It's for a different purpose.
it's a
As
specific,
opposed to the first, which will be assigned to the detective division, and they'll use it as they see fit. I get, apparently there's a need for it within the detective division. The chief had mentioned in his letter. So that one's going to the detective division, which already was paid in sum for the Jeep Grand Cherokee. So the remaining amount, I guess, will come from the Carmel PD's 2022 budget to cover the remaining balance. And the second one is from the
well,
same
they
grant.
do have use for a pickup truck, bringing the drugs to the burn, bringing evidence to,
Oh, yeah, no,
Albany or wherever.
I'm just surprised that we need two big trucks like that. That's all, but they're,
I see them more in
that-
use,
that's
different
them, yeah, but
departments are
we're-
using them.
yeah, that seems to be the trend now.
Long
is they're
Island, that's all you
pickup
see on
trucks.
the
but you
LIUs.
got it. Yeah,
Pickup trucks.
I'm fine.
And then The last item is Police Chief Anthony Hoffman. He's asking us to consider requests to authorize the purchase of two 2022 Ford Police Interceptor utility hybrid SUVs. The chief is saying that they had ordered their vehicles, and the ordering closes on February 11, 2022 from the factory. They originally were expecting their cars to come in April, and there's been such a high demand, as we know, with everything going on. So they found vehicles, and they're piggybacking off of
Westchester County?
East Hannaford?
Westchester County?
Westchester County's contract, yes, to purchase two Ford hybrids.
These were already budgeted in the budget from last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those were
Yeah.
budgeted.
Yep.
So
Yep.
for two of them, they're going to pay $73,719 for two vehicles.
Yeah, from Buyer Ford in East Hanover, New Jersey, which is, we used to get our Fords from there years ago, too. I'm sure you did, too. Any discussion about the Fords? No? All right, so we have, after town board comments, we're going to be going to executive session to meet with the town controller and Ann Pasquarella, chief of staff, on personnel. We have Glenn Drosy, town assessor, to speak to us about certiorari litigation, and we have another attorney about litigation. I don't have any comments. Councilman Laward, any
No.
comment?
No.
Oh, no.
No? Good stuff? No comment. All right, so can I get a motion to go to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Cool. All in favor? Aye.
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 Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.